All right. Hey, everyone. Hopefully, folks can hear me. This is a little bit of a newer streaming setup than what I usually have. So I guess I'm going to apologize ahead of time for any technical difficulties that we might run into, or weird formatting stuff. So I'm going to try to keep an eye on it. Might need to jump in and tweak and fix a couple things as we get going, because even now I'm seeing myself here and it looks like the sizing is strange and incorrect. But we're just going to move past that anyway. But I'm so excited today to take some time to show you all some of the major things that have come out in version 2.8.0 of the Cephable desktop apps, some changes and things that have come to the Cephable portal for organizations using Cephable Professional or Education, as well as our resellers, and really show you all the new cool AI stuff that's here and talk about some of the things that are coming up. And thank you, Jay, for the "Here You Find." That's the biggest thing I need to know, because anyone who's been here before has known we've had some weird audio issues before. But let's jump into some of the major new things that are out there. I'm gonna actually minimize Cephable here first and focus on Cephable Professional and some of the portal stuff that's coming. Um, First things first, we've been talking about Cephable Professional for a while now. This is our paid for platform where we have new features specifically for businesses that are rolling out Cephable to their team members, and access to some of our paid features as well. The main things to note that have changed is it's much easier now to actually just go and purchase your own license of Cephable Professional or set up your team without having to go through our sales org. So I'm here on the Cephable website. You can also just Google or Bing search Cephable Professional and it'll take you here. So you can get started with either our monthly offering or our yearly offering, add as many people as you want to it, throw a credit card at it, purchase it, and get going. If you do need enterprise licensing, you can still talk to us and get set up with that. So more advanced stuff like single sign-on, custom contracts, multi-teams or multi-orgs, doing full security reviews and stuff like that. But if you're not that complex, you can jump right into Cephable Professional at any point. Also, just like before, you can always start a trial. Ever since we started the trials of Cephable Professional back in October, all you got to do is go to the website, start a trial, and you're off and running. Once you have a Cephable professional license, or if you're one of our reselling partners, there's some new features available to you in the Cephable portal. So this is just portal.cephable.com. You can also start a trial from there. And I just wanted to give you a preview of some of this stuff. In the last stream with 2.7, I had shared previews of some of the developer tools and how easy it is for developers to get in. But we also now have new tools specifically for our reseller partners. These are folks who can actually purchase and resell and manage licenses of Cephable professionals for individuals or for organizations of any size. And so whether you're something like a vocational rehab group, or you sell other assistive technologies or anything else, there's all sorts of new features that you can get access to. We want to find new and creative ways to work with you as well. So feel free to reach out if you're interested in becoming one of those partners. Which, to show you just very briefly before we get into all the fun features, you'll have an organization in here with the reseller features, which allows you to manage organizations, purchase licenses, and manage your license keys. So when you set up an organization to add individuals to, you create it, you use a license key that you've purchased, or for example, if I go to create a new one here, I can purchase one directly. Takes me to that same purchase page where I can view the products that are available to me, like Cephable Professional. If you're able to sell Cephable Education, you can get access to that too. And then basically jump into purchasing. So it takes you to the payment link. I can add more seats if I want. So let's say I'm setting up an organization with 5 individuals. I can change that amount and go through the purchase process. Once you do that, they'll show up in your license keys and or your managed organizations, and you can set them up from there. You can also then sell those license keys however you want to, and individuals can use the license keys in the Cephable app or in the Cephable portal in order to actually then register their license, and then they're off and running. And you can then manage their billing and all their other processes and custom resources and all sorts of other stuff that you want to do that is the way that you want to manage how folks use Cephable versus how we sort of do it out of the box. So tons of new tools for resellers and referral partners right in the Cephable portal. Please check it out, try it out, reach out to us if you're interested in becoming one of those types of partners, because we're always trying to find new ways to reach more folks with the platform. But all that aside, let me get into the actual Cephable things that are new in the app. So if I pull up my app, I'll do it from up here, show, we're back. So I'm going to zoom this in just a little bit because I'm on a pretty big screen here so you can see the latest Cephable things. New stuff in version 2.8.0. A lot of the main things that we've been focusing on is voice. So improving how voice controls work, improving the way they feel, improving the accuracy of it, and releasing preview versions of our AI-Enhanced Voice Commands and our AI-Enhanced Dictation for Cephable Professional and Cephable Education users first. So what this means is that regardless of what profile you have, you previously would have to exact match a voice command. So if I needed to, for example, like center the text in a Word document and I had a voice command for center text, I would have to say center text, and I would have to memorize all these voice commands over time as I start to use them. It's something we've heard from you all that can become a bit of a challenge when you start using Cephable across dozens of different applications. And so we wanted to make it much, much easier to just tell your computer what to do and it does it. And so this is the preview of our AI voice commands. And also, we hear a lot with dictation, things like how can I handle proper nouns and formatting phone numbers and acronyms and complex sentence structure, and I don't want to have to say the punctuation at the end of all these sentences and stuff like that. So we also have in this version a preview of our AI-Enhanced Dictation, which solves all of those things and is now proudly for us to say the most accurate dictation available for on-device voice. Better than anything you're going to see from Dragon Naturally Speaking, Voice Access, the built-in stuff on Mac, which you see me on now, or anything else out there that is running the speech recognition entirely on device. It's pretty incredible. So I'm excited to show you some of those today. Before I do that, I want to show you how to turn them on because these are the major new features that are here. So because these are in preview in version 2.8, and they'll be out of preview in our upcoming versions, so this will change depending on when you're watching this, but if you're here with us live, then you would go into your account settings, scroll down to your user preferences, and you'll see some new options here. In a previous live stream, we had shared some of the experimental head mouse settings. It's in the same area. So experimental AI-Enhanced Dictation mode, auto punctuation, better accuracy, and more, and AI-Enhanced Voice Commands that allow Cephable's AI to predict the voice command you're trying to use without needing to exactly match. So I have both of these on. If you turn them off and then turn them on, just make sure you hit save down here. And then they're off and running. So worth noting, these are only available in professional and education right now. These are specifically paid features versus the ones that are out of the box. But let me show you, for example, what that means in a real use case. So I'm going to switch to Google Docs profile. And this is just the out-of-the-box Google Docs profile that's available to anyone, including free users. And you can see I have things like copy text, cut, paste, undo, redo. But if we take something like undo, for example, there's a voice command of undo. It's short. In the case of Mac, it's going to do Command Z for me. But if I said something like, hey, could you undo that? It's not going to trigger the voice command because you didn't lead with the exact word. That's the way that the default voice commands work now without the AI enhanced features. So if I say something like, make it bold or bold that for me, please, you might not actually trigger things like bolding because you need to say the voice command of bold or whatever the value is that you have if you've changed it. So the main thing to know about how this works with the AI enhanced voice commands is that basically Cephable is training a machine learning model on your device. So again, none of this ever leaves your computer to understand all of the different voice interactions you might have with a given app. Right now, it's only doing this for profile controls. So this doesn't yet apply to global controls and device controls, although that's going to change. And it only applies to the list of controls that you have here in your profile. So it's not going to look at your key or button stuff or your dictation words or anything like that. It's only looking at the list of controls that you have within a given control profile in the preview version, that is. So let me show you what it looks like to have this on. So I'm going to go ahead and start my microphone and I'll bring this over for you to see, and then I'll pull up a little Google Docs template. So this isn't any custom content or anything like that. This is just a template of a set of controls that a document. I keep saying controls. It's just a sample document from Google Docs. But if you remember, if with the undo command, if I'm sitting here and typing stuff out and I want to undo it, previously I would have to give an exact voice command. So something like this: undo, undo, undo. And it undoes all that stuff for me. But what I can do now is I'm going to type a whole bunch of random stuff, and I can probably make this a little bit bigger too, so you can actually see all the things going on. Can you undo that? Undo that for me? Undo it. And it was doing it. I didn't have to actually do any like customization or add all these different variations. It's more naturally processing the way that I want to talk to it. So main goals is to make it easier for you to basically just give the commands that you want across your different profiles, and then you're off and running. Now, the other major thing is I'll pause this for now, is the dictation. And so if you've been using Cephable dictation, you know that there's two different ways to do it. You can use the type command, so I can say something like type hello everyone, how are you doing today? And it would type that out. Or you can start dictation mode, which is the sort of long form dictation. And you can do that by either using a voice command of start dictation, or you can always actually click the start dictation mode button here. Previously, before the AI enhanced dictation mode, these ran the same model. So it doesn't have things like auto punctuation, it doesn't auto format certain things. And so I'll give you a couple examples where I'm using the type command versus the dictation mode, because the type command is still using the default dictation, meaning that it's meant to be for short form stuff versus the longer form dictation things. So if I now and start dictation mode, it's going to take a little bit to load. Hopefully it's happy and I haven't been doing too much. But you can see it actually doing proper punctuation, proper casing, and everything else. And I can continue to talk and give some longer examples. For example, phone number formatting. Like my phone number is 603-555-1234. And we see that formatting here too, or even things like addresses. For example, our address is 123 Corporate Road in Boston, Massachusetts, 02114. So proper formatting of commas in the right places and addresses and everything else. Or I can even give some examples that I see in chat. Like there's some people here from Salt Lake City, Utah, and you'll see that formatting get handled correctly too. Or maybe hello to the folks from Birmingham, Alabama. Great to see you all. Still fast as you would expect dictation to be, still running entirely on your device, and still really easy to use across all of your different controls and swapping between the sort of normal voice control mode and the dictation mode. But now the most accurate thing you might be able to use your voice for on the internet. Stop dictation. So now I'm back in listening mode. And if I want to, I can actually then give a type command in order to trigger the normal mode so you can sort of see the difference. Type, hello everyone, how are you doing today? Question mark. Isn't the new dictation mode really cool, period? So we're still able to see it typing out, but I have to actually pronounce those different things like the period and the question mark. But also, if I wanted to do things like phone numbers, like my phone number being 603-555-1234, you won't see the formatting work the same way. And sometimes when I'm back in listening mode because I stopped dictation. What am I doing? Because I said type. Well, forgot to say type that, but either way, you kind of get the point. It won't ever do that type of formatting and automatic stuff. You have to actually sort of speak your way through it. Or things like proper nouns. It doesn't always know exactly how to handle proper nouns or acronyms or like serial codes and all the complex things that come with trying to use dictation. So if you're in a trial of Cephable Professional or you're a Cephable Pro or Cephable EDU user, try out the new dictation modes. They're going to become the standard out of the box in our upcoming versions. That should make things even easier for folks out of the box too. Same with the AI-Enhanced Voice Commands. Our plan is to make that the default on top of bringing you more and more robust pre-built controls so that ultimately you're able to kind of just tell whatever app you're in what you want it to do, and Cephable helps figure it out for you. So I wanted to check in chat just to see if there's any questions. Do you think you'll ever get to a point where dictation is typing in real time? Yeah, so a couple things with doing it in like true real time, meaning like as I'm saying it, you're seeing it written out. The same way you do like in your voice control window down here, is that the context of a full sentence matters. And so if I am saying a sentence that is going to become a question or is going to be structured differently, then we might not know that we need to add a comma at a certain point while you're talking, right? So there's always this sort of need for post-processing to get you the most accurate results. For example, if you were saying like my phone number is 603-555-1234, and no, Jason, not giving you the real phone number and address, then how do we know it's going to be a phone number by the time you said 603, which is when we actually need to add like the dashes and some of that structure. So the only other way to do it where it's happening in real time is to also integrate it natively into the actual app that you're writing into. So in this case, like if we had an integration into Google Docs and I could see all of this structure of everything else going on, then I could go in and backwards edit the stuff that was just written. But because Cephable isn't reading all of the content of all these different apps, and it's able to do that dictation into any app, I could be writing into Notepad or I could be writing into chat in YouTube using Cephable dictation, then we have to do that sort of understanding and thinking and post-processing before we spit out all the text. So that's the intention behind the design. That being said, if you're using Cephable's AI-enhanced dictation, it is still between 3 to 5 times faster than the average professional typing speed. Meaning that regardless of any abilities that you have, if you're a typical like office digital worker and you're typing on a keyboard and you're as able-bodied as you could be with your fingers, then Cephable dictation is still faster and still has a higher accuracy percentage rate than a typical person does when typing, meaning that you might as well just say the thing and have it be figured out for you, because at least statistically it's going to be more accurate than typing it yourself, and it's still going to be significantly faster than typing it yourself. Even just as an example, I'm a very fast typer. I build custom keyboards as a personal hobby of mine, to the point that's how much I like typing. But I would never be able to type all of this as quickly as Cephable is able to hear me say it and then actually type it out for me too. So great question though. How does the new dictation work if people have unique spellings of names? Great question. So right now, it will basically try to give its best guess, but will continue to build in context. So as an example, Mare, if you were using your full name and your nickname, it would actually be able to pull some more of that into context as a way to more accurately create the first spelling the first time. For example, we see that with Cephable. Like, it's not always going to get unique or brand new words correct the first time around, but the more you use it and you make corrections and the more context you give it while speaking, the more accurate it gets too. So things like our own name, Cephable, which right now, if I tried to do it without that dictation and I said something like, type Cephable is really cool software that uses AI, it picked it up as separable. Now, if I try to do the same thing in a new line, the same phrase, and I'll do it with the dictation mode on, Cephable is really cool software that uses AI. Little bit closer, but my enunciation wasn't quite correct. So things like that, or they're not quite perfect for brand new words. But if I continued to give an example of Cephable over and over again, it would start to figure out like, oh, this first time where I thought this was a T, that actually should be a PH because I better understood it in the next context too. There it goes, typing in the middle of the other word, which doesn't help. But yeah, that's it's never going to be perfect with custom words just yet, but those are the use cases we're continuing to work on improving. What other questions do you all have? What do you think of the new dictation mode, and how does it compare to what you've been doing with dictation otherwise? How else are you writing stuff all day long? Also just scrolling up to see what else I might have missed. Also, Rudy, good to see you too. Yeah, those are the main things that we've got in 2.8. It's the just preview versions of some of those big things. Could you have some kind of list in the settings for custom words? It's definitely something we're looking at. The one thing we're trying to avoid is having to manage that all the time. Like, custom words and custom dictionaries is like one of the biggest complaints we hear for other dictation software. And so what we're likely to do ahead of that is actually try to pull in more of the context of the stuff around it and help Cephable develop a little bit more of a memory of some of those things. Because the having to manage custom words is just such a big pain to do all the time. For example, like it's one of the biggest complaints we have from folks that use Dragon Naturally Speaking or Dragon Professionals, like having to do all this setup in order to get it working accurately. We kind of are trying to build ways to do that automatically, so that you're not having to manage a whole bunch of stuff, and instead it being able to know from other places in my document or other content in my app how I might be trying to spell something, like my own name, for example, without me having to go add a list with like my name and stuff like that. But who knows, that implementation may not be perfect, and we may have to fall back to some custom words and stuff like that too. And thanks, Jenny. I'm very excited about the dictation. I've been using it probably longer than anyone else in all these preview versions. So excited to have some other folks really jumping in and trying it. And definitely want to shout out our consortium users that did some of the earliest testing of the new models to basically help us identify gaps in it and how they want it to work and what they did like about it and didn't like about it. I know there's probably like 15 to 20 folks from our consortium that were involved in that process. So really want to thank you all for the time you spent trying it out in the preview versions before we got this out too. because it really makes a difference in the overall performance. And it's so much easier to use now than that version that you were trying out. So glad it's finally sort of reached its next version. But this is just a start. Again, this is still even in preview within the Cephable app itself. So before we release it as the default, we'll continue to see more improvements coming to it. Same with the AI voice commands. I mean, it's one of those things that, like, I use Cephable all day, every day. And that I kind of adopted to that cognitive load of memorizing the keyboard shortcuts because I'm also building it all the time with the rest of the engineering team. And so that overhead wasn't as big for me because I've been doing this for years now. But even for me, like, having the AI enhanced voice commands just, like, generally way easier to use. Like, I don't have to go memorize all these new keyboard shortcuts. Or if I jump into a new app, like, for example, I was using I was using Blender for the first time, just, like, personally, and I'd never used Blender before. And if you're not familiar with Blender, it's a 3D design tool. It's extremely complex. Like, there's so many things you can do with it, and we have a profile for it. Like, I can go add a profile for Blender. If I go search for it here, like, just to give you an idea, like, Blender has so many things you can do, like switching tools and everything else. And I didn't want to have to go memorize all these commands again. So when it's a new app for me versus what I'm using every day. And so just having, like, the AI enhanced voice commands where I was able to just kind of, like, tell it the tool I wanted to switch to or the setting I wanted to change based off what I could see in the actual app itself. And it just did it. It's kind of a magical thing when you actually try it out for the first time. So definitely recommend trying out the AI enhanced voice commands too, because it just makes it so much easier without having to memorize really anything. You should be able to just use your pre-built controls and you're off and running. Codebit asks, I wasn't paying full attention in the beginning. Is the AI dictation a subscription feature? Yes. So that right now the AI enhanced dictation and the AI enhanced voice commands are only for paid users, and will be at the time of the full release when they're out of preview as well. So these are more involved features that we've been developing that are specifically for our professional users. But we're going to be working on new ways to more easily step into some of these features without needing to pay the full price of Cephable Professional. But yeah, that's these are current features that are going to be available only to professional users. That being said, for personal users, voice commands also just got a general enhancement to how they work. So basically, you can just, like, more easily give the voice commands versus having to worry about these, like, conflicts that you run into. Like, there's sort of this, it's kind of hard to show because it's really just, like, more improved to how you want it to work kind of voice commands that came out in this version, and that's applicable to everyone. Haven't used it yet, but to speed up keyboard shortcuts, I'd imagine it's speeding up workflow for disabled and able-bodied users of Blender shortcuts. Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of where we're going with the professional version too. Like, we have the professional users have more profiles that are pre-built. They're more specific to, like, professional apps and stuff like that. So, like, you'll get things like Google Docs for free, and in the free version a whole bunch of others. But, like, the pro version comes with hundreds of these different apps that it's pre-trained on, and if it's just used for, I want voice commands for keyboard shortcuts I don't want to memorize alone, you're going to save, literally, we've calculated, hours of time every week without having to go do those, like, quote unquote digital chores all the time. So it's definitely something that's a productivity use case and feature, not just specifically for folks with disabilities. Will that work for more than just productivity apps, games as well, not knowing a certain command? Yeah, absolutely. So if you have the AI enhanced voice commands on, it works for every profile. So when you switch, like, let's say, for example, I switched, like, a Minecraft profile or Netflix. Let me see. I think I've got a Minecraft. Like, this Minecraft profile that we just used recently in a live stream with the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Like, I've got click and mine and stop and stuff like that. And so again, like, if I have to say mine, and if I say start mining, it's not going to trigger mine. But with the AI enhanced voice command, saying start mining will actually know, oh, he's trying to start mining, and so therefore we should do the same thing as mine, right? So, like, that works in any profile that you have. And what's really cool about some of these AI enhanced voice commands isn't just what it can do right now, it's sort of what it's unlocking for us on the Cephable team for new features we can build. Like, being able to have our AI features like have a better understanding of the things you're trying to do, like not making any promises, but like if I wanted to say move my mouse up 100 pixels, like right now I would need to have a voice command that is telling my mouse to move up 100 pixels and specifically set it to 100 pixels versus like pulling in the like and extracting out the types of variables, or they're called slots and entities in the technical term, but like pulling those out in context and doing something with it. So for folks who have asked us like, hey, I wish I could put in like variables in my voice command and have those variables do stuff on the output, this is a big step towards being able to do some of that too. um, a command to apply a filter in Lightroom would be fun. It would make fun for a marketing video too. Imagine VR integration one day. I'm wearing the Ray-Ban Meta. It could be like apply a filter to your shades. That would be sick. And also, yes, Julia is right. We have a Lightroom profile for professional users. So I'll type that in for example. So those commands exist. If I go to Lightroom, there we have voice commands pre-trained on tons of stuff that you can do in Lightroom. Different gradient tools, your drawing tools, all these different things. Grouping, ungrouping, which is a big one that I use a lot across tools like this. Adding photos, changing your panels, increasing and decreasing brush size, like anything you could try to do in something like Lightroom. Basically, if there's a keyboard shortcut for it, we have a voice command for it at least. So Professional definitely has it's the entire Adobe suite, by the way. Like you can even see there the default because it's alphabetical, like Photoshop, Media Encoder, Lightroom, InDesign, InCopy, Illustrator, Fresco, Express, Dreamweaver, Character Animator, Bridge, After Effects, Acrobat, like all of these different Adobe tools, and then you can see a bunch of games and stuff. There's hundreds of applications that it's pre-trained on. If you want to make music, I use GarageBand on Mac. That was one that I was playing with recently, which is pretty fun as well. So there's a lot of stuff you can do. I think the mix of pre-built profiles that Cephable has and our team has spent the time to train the AI on how to understand and the different actions it can do, and that how to automate those things, plus the AI understanding better what actions you're trying to take based off what you're saying, plus the AI enhanced dictation. It's pretty powerful stuff in this version. So I'm very excited that everyone's got a chance to get a preview of it. I know we're sort of up at time here, so I'm going to have to run, but thank you all so much for the time. We're very excited about some of the updates coming. And just in terms of schedule for you all to know, this was version 2.8.0. We have version 2.9.0 coming out next week with even more enhancements and some more previews of features that are going to be coming out in version 3. So we do have a new major version of version 3.0 that's coming out at the end of March or early April. So keep an eye out for that. We're going to do a whole other stream when those changes come because there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll probably need more than 30 minutes. But yeah, thank you all so much for the time that you spent with us today. And be sure to join us in Discord or the Facebook group, or reach us through the app in the support section too. But appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next live stream with even more cool updates to come.